Well, hello, everybody. Friday again comes around the same time every week. And this is the Happy Hour broadcast with old Dr. Paul and Nancy. And we have a very special guest today.
I know that's right.
A shortage of poetry, but a special guest. However, a disclaimer, remember, anything you see or hear on this broadcast, you cannot hold Acts Ministry nor Acts Media Group responsible. They're not responsible. All right. Also, I would be...
they're not responsible.
They are not responsible parties. I would also be remiss if I didn't say a wonderful good morning and hello to my first secretary, Shirley Simpson in St. Joseph, Missouri. Hello, Shirley. Welcome again. And to my friend who was a teenager in my church in St. Joe many years ago, because he's now a retired education executive, a school administrator. He's over in Chesterfield, Missouri, and his name is Jerry Chambers. And I also need to say hello to all the friends up in Northwest Missouri and our friend Judy Nickel down there in the Lone Star State of Texas, our friends in Germany, our friends in France. Here we go, boys. You ready? Il est très bonjour aujourd'hui, n'est-ce pas, mes amis? That's French. It's a greeting. All right.
Japan and Pakistan now.
Oh, we're also in Pakistan. I don't speak Pakistani.
And Japan.
And I don't speak Nippon. Well, that's, Japan is Nippon in Japanese.
Okay.
See? Okay. Right. Let's get to the business at hand here, Nancy. What do you say? Per Brink. P-E-R, that's his first name, and then Brink, B-R-I-N-C-K. Per Brink. Brink Insurance. He is one of our insurance specialists, Nancy.
He is special.
And he takes care of us real good.
That's right. He
Per,
sure does.
welcome to the Happy Hour. You can see why. If you had heard my poetry, you'd know why they call it the Happy Hour.
Right. Thank you very much for having me.
Per is from Sweden, but you've been in the United States a long time.
Yeah, I came over here in 1980 on a swimming scholarship at Drury College, or Drury University. Drury College back then, I knew Drury University right now, and then stayed here, and I went through 4 years, so got a business degree and a minor in German, and started in the insurance business in 1985, and with a company here in Springfield, and so I've been around quite a while. And then 6 years ago, me and my wife Vicki, we started our own insurance agency called Brink Insurance Group, LLC.
And they're over here on Republic Road, East Republic Road, on the north side of the street, and their building is beautiful. I like that. It's got a lot of character.
It does. We like it. We've been there for about 6-7 weeks right now, and really enjoy the space, and it's easy access for people to come in and see us, and easy for us to get home too. We like that, and go home and go and take care of the dogs in the middle of the day and things like that. So
now, right across the street from you, what's over there? I've forgotten.
It is. Let me see here. Harder House is kind of over there,
Yes.
and Steeplechase Medical Clinic.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Now, for all you folks who are not in Springfield, Missouri, where we are, and by the way, Per, every broadcast I fondly refer to my adopted hometown, Springfield, Missouri, as Springburg, USA. That's what we are, Springburg, USA. We're in the southwest quadrant of Missouri, and Missouri is right in the middle of the United States, which means we're right in the middle of the world right now, in a sense. And Per, how's your German? Did you minored in German? Is it any good?
No, not anymore. You lose it if you don't use it all the time. And when I was working for my dad down in Germany for a while, he sold log cabins to Germany. Then I was better. Now it's not very good. I wouldn't communicate in German, I can say that.
I had, when I was a kid growing up in north central Missouri, had an old railroader live next door, and from his last name was Armstrong, so I know he wasn't German, and I don't know why he did this. He always had a great big ball of chewing tobacco in his jaw. It looked like he had a growth, and he'd sit on his front porch and spit right off the porch, and he told me he was speaking German to me when I was a little kid. I'd be riding by on my bicycle, and he'd make some remark about having a flat or something, and I'd stop and go sit on the porch and visit with him, and he'd say something like, "Seemingly gut all the while, ja?" Or all the while, ja? And I said, okay. That's the only German I ever learned was incorrect German, and it came from the guys whose last name was Armstrong, an old railroader. All right, Per, let's, before we get into the insurance industry per se, I want to talk a little bit about your experience in Sweden, growing up there, and you were a swimmer, huh?
Right, yeah. I started swimming when I was about, 8, 9 years old. My dad used to take us to this swimming pool, and because every Friday he goes there and relax. They go to sauna, has a massage and things like that, and he took me there. So he said, you go and swim, and that was he just let me start swimming by myself, and I got interested in that and started, and I was like 9 or 10, and I started really getting into it, starting with it called Jönköping Swim Club, and we went on from there. I competed in the Swedish Nationals quite a few times, and then my dream was always, because in Sweden there's no collegiate sports. So after you get done with high school, or called gymnasium over there, or your 9th grade, you have no choice but either start working and practicing on the side, or you come over to the United States. And I had several people that I knew would come to the United States to swim and keep the career going. So since I was like 12, 13 years old, I was very intrigued by that, and it was one of my goals to come over here and swim and get an education. You don't think about education at 12 years old, but 14 years old, but later on that was important to me. But we had some very good swimmers in Sweden that was Olympic champions and things like that, and they come over here. So and like I said, I had a lot of friends. They come over here, so it was a big goal for me to keep my swimming career going, and then come over and get an education and swim.
Okay. I was going to ask where you swim in Sweden, because that's not the warmest climate in the world. But I also am familiar with, I think, people talking about a Swedish massage.
It's a type of massage. It's actually kind of funny. My brother, he is a massage therapist. And it's just a type of massage that, what I understand, I mean, it's just the type they're doing, the deep tissue massage that they do. And he could tell me better. He could tell you better, but I never been, a massage therapist. But that's the type of massage that they do.
From what I understand, the capital of Sweden is Copenhagen.
No, that's Denmark.
Oh, that's Denmark. You're Stockholm.
Stockholm, correct.
Stockholm, and also you have a constitutional monarchy. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we have a king and a queen, and then there's. You see here a prince and 2 princesses. So when our king passes away, then we're going to have a queen. And then now they have 6 grandkids. So it's quite a big family, monarch family. But they're more like they go around in the world and talk about Sweden and things like that for promotional things.
And really public relations
Public
agents.
relations, correct.
They do not have the media attention that the British royal family receives, but maybe that's a good thing.
It is probably a good thing, and of course the Queen of England, she's always been in front, and but Sweden is a small country too. It's 9 million people, I think, is living there by right now, so they don't have it. It's not as out there as much as some other countries.
With the Scandinavian area of the globe, you have Sweden, Denmark, Finland,
Norway.
Is there a good camaraderie between those 4 nations?
Yeah, I mean, Finland is a little different because there's totally different languages than Swedish and Norwegian and Danish. But there's camaraderie too. Of course, the Swedes and the Norwegians, they always pick on each other with jokes and going back and forth. So, I mean, it is. And they have, we've always traded together. But Sweden and Norway has been, they're the 2 biggest countries of the Scandinavian countries. Because we have to include Iceland, too, in the Scandinavian countries. But it's always, it's always been good trade partners, I think, up there, too.
And a lot of people, maybe even most of the people speak English, do they not?
Yeah. I started in the 2nd grade. that is go through the school system. With the school I started, there was at that point there was a trial thing that they did. They started in second grade instead of third grade, and then go on through the schools, through the ninth grade and through the gymnasium in Sweden, and then go on. So, but then when you get to the sixth grade, then you'll usually pick another language like French or German or Japanese, or I know they do Russians and things like that. And then we go into gymnasium, which is a 2 or 3 or 4 year programs, depending what you want to do. Then you can pick up another language, and depending on what kind of course you choose, course direction or courses. So yeah, everybody is pretty much bilingual over there, and it's kind of funny when you go over there that they want to speak English because they want to learn. Of course, when I go over there and see my mother and my brother and his family, we speak Swedish when we are together, but we speak English with as much as we can with my family because they do not speak Swedish. So here in the United States, so it's you get around in Sweden, all Scandinavia, all Europe. You can get around everywhere with speaking English. So
it's interesting to me that there's more emphasis in Europe and in Scandinavia on multiple languages than in the United States, even though we've had a large influx now of Hispanics and Latinos. Still, we are predominantly an English-speaking nation, and to learn a second language is an option in school. It's not like there's a great deal of emphasis placed on it. It sounds like the Swedes really emphasize learning other languages.
They do, and it's all been part of the school system for so long. It's just embedded in the school system, and it's I shouldn't say necessity in Europe, but it's good to be because you travel so much, and then especially now when the EU, can travel all over Europe, without any passports pretty much, and you have an EU passport and things like that. So I think it's very important, but also to communicate with the world, they use this English almost like a second language.
It seems to me like a small country probably is more dependent upon being able to speak a language that's bigger than the country, in a sense. Like Sweden, as you said, small population compared to the United States, and a small nation like that, in order to reach out and touch a lot of other people, English would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it is the universal language. I mean, even some courses at the universities are taught in English and using English textbooks. And so, I mean, it's because it is a universal language, and when you go to a conference or something, they have to speak English. Otherwise, we have to have a translator or interpreter or something like that. So it is. I mean, I never thought I was going to sit here in the United States and use the language when I was in 6th, 7th grades and was struggling with English. I never thought, hey, I'm going to use it as my main language. So it's kind of, sometimes I wish maybe I could go back and show what I can do now to my English teacher. But I never ever thought about that. But
was your English teacher a male or female?
It was a female.
Be nice to go back and say, Ms. So-and-so, look at me now.
Right. Yeah, that'd be kind of funny, but yeah.
I want to take a little time out here. Matt's not available to do this, so I'll take the liberty of doing it. Remind our folks who are regular viewers and new ones to let you in on it, that Natural Solutions Store helps to make this broadcast possible. Natural Solutions Store has around 50 products, I'd imagine. The last count I had was 43, and they added some since then. But they're natural products related to good health and the maintenance of good health. So you can find out a whole lot about Natural Solutions Store and top-of-the-line supplements by simply going to naturalsolutionsstore.bz. That web address again is naturalsolutionsstore.bz. And if you go there, you'll find some wonderful products. I know that our station manager, Matt Pearson, he really likes the CBD balm and ointment, super hemp balm, and because he has some aches and pains and takes care of it. In fact, Matt, I used some the other night on my hips because my hips had started bothering me in the night before. So I used some of that on both my hips, and it worked really good.
It doesn't take very much of it either.
No, just a little dab will do ya, as they used to say about a certain hair care product. Little dab will do ya.
It's a 35 milliliter jar, and it lasted me a couple months.
That's great. And there's a whole line of other products. I think everybody ought to be on CoQ10, male and female alike, for heart health. And there's some other products that absolutely just go online, look them up, read about them, and you'll find something that you need, and they'll make it affordable, because Acts Ministry has provided a Helping Hands Fund for those who find it difficult to afford their supplements. They can kind of scholarship some deserving people. So Acts Ministry is doing its thing, doing the right thing, serving where needed. Now, back to our guest, Per Brink. We've been talking about Sweden. Now we're going to talk about his insurance agency. You are an independent agent, right?
Correct.
Okay. How many different companies can you access?
Oh, we have about 33 companies in-house. We can access direct, and we can access other companies to wholesale brokers as well. So
Okay.
we can do anything for anybody, pretty much.
Okay. What kind of lines are we talking about here, insurance lines? I know what we have with you. We have our homeowners with you, and we have our vehicle insurance with you, which also includes our sinkhole insurance. A lot of people haven't heard about sinkhole insurance, but let me tell you, if you live in a neighborhood with sinkholes, you'll be thinking about sinkhole insurance if you've got anything going on up here. What all different kinds of insurance are you offering?
We do mainly property and casualty insurance, all kind of insurance. The split in our agency right now is pretty much 65-70% business insurance, which includes general liability, property insurance, workman's comp, commercial auto, bonds, commercial bonds, and things like that. And then the rest is personal lines, which is homeowners auto, scheduled jewelry coverages, ATVs, anything you can do. We can do anything for anybody. The only thing we do not do in our office is health insurance, but we refer that over to another agency that we work with closely, because we want to concentrate what we're good at, which is the property and casualty side
Right.
of it.
Right. I know some people have heard this story, but certainly our audience, the bulk of the audience hasn't. But when I mentioned sinkhole insurance, let me explain, folks. In our neighborhood here in Springburg, USA, across the street from us, two houses, two of them had sinkholes. One morning they got up, and one of them, their backyard had disappeared. I mean, literally disappeared, the whole backyard. And the other one, two great big holes in the front yard that you could have put school buses in, nearly, or at least big Fords, F-150s. And
Not a sponsor.
and they fixed all of those. And across the street from us, the city bought that land and put a concrete ditch through it for flood control. And nobody can build over there because of the danger of sinkholes. So I'm standing in front of our house one day, and I do believe the Holy Spirit was instructing me here. Now, folks, this is a faith-based program. Nancy and I and Per, we happen to be Christian and believers that God still deals with people and
I know,
talks
that's
to us.
right.
Anyway, I'm standing in front of the house on our front porch, and being very thankful for this piece of property that we've occupied now nearly 20 years. And here's these two huge oak trees out in front. And I'm thinking, all of a sudden, the house is covered against wind, hail, storms, flood, earthquakes, because we have a big rock wall in our downstairs area around the fireplace. And so if we had an earthquake over here in southeast Missouri, it might crack our wall there, do some damage.
correct.
Anyway, I thought, had everything covered. And I saw those great big oak trees. And I thought, uh-oh, if there's a sinkhole and those trees fall into the house is destroyed, and they're not covered. It's not covered. That's when I started looking. And that's one reason I found you.
Correct.
In a roundabout way. I had to go through somebody else that didn't give me good service. By the way, folks, not every insurance agent is created equal.
I know, that's right.
God created us all to be equal, but they don't all perform equally. So not only did I make a discovery about sinkhole insurance, but I made a discovery that I was told years ago that indeed my insurance is only as good as my agent. So we found ourselves a good agent because not all agents perform equally. Perry, we appreciate you very much. And your precious wife, every time we go in your office and she's there, she just really makes us feel
Oh,
at
thank
home.
you. Yeah, she enjoys talking to you too, and when you come in and everything. But one thing I want to say about, not to cut away from talking
right.
about
No,
my
no.
wife, but
Go ahead.
with the sinkhole insurance, only a few companies that will offer this. So the main thing is what you need to do is call your agents if you're ever interested in this to find out if they can offer this. Because state of Missouri, I think it's only. We only have one insurance company in our office that will offer this at this point, so that makes it a little harder. The state has a program you can go through to buy the sinkhole insurance by itself, through the state's pool, so to say, through an agency, but it's very expensive.
Very, very
It's very expensive, not the right coverage. So do your due diligence and be sure you talk to your agent about that, what is covered if I need it. I mean, this area is full of sinkholes. We never know
Right.
what's going to happen.
That's right.
So again, I mean, if you're worried about it, then it's not as expensive as people think.
No.
And it is a coverage that a lot of people forget about and don't think about it until it's too late. And as an agent, I always try to ask, do you need sinkhole insurance? And says, no, we're not close to a sinkhole. But you never know. I mean, there's maps out there. You can see where the sinkholes are. And I saw one on Nixa, Missouri one time, and it's quite astonishing how many sinkholes there are out there.
Well, we have a blessing in this part of the country with a lot of springs, natural springs, underground streams, so forth. But that blessing can also turn on you because it means you have the possibility of sinkholes. And I know your little town, Nixa, it had an experience with some
Yep.
sinkholes. And by the way, folks, if you're anywhere near Springburg, USA, it's not Nixa, it's Nixie. If you're an old timer, it's Nixie. So anyway, he lives in Nixa, otherwise known fondly as Nixie, and sinkholes have appeared there. So anyway, we are very thankful that we have our sinkhole insurance as an add-on to a policy rather than a standalone deal. Standalone's much more expensive than the add-on.
Correct.
Now,
Oh, to
go
butt
ahead.
in, your hearing aids are also.
Oh yeah, we these are covered through our homeowners. The pinky ring I wear is covered through our homeowners. I believe in insurance, but I also believe that my insurance is only as good as my agent.
I know, and we know Pear, and boy, he's good.
Well, thank you
Now-
very much.
Now back to Vicki.
Yeah.
She is delightful when we go into your office every time that we've seen her, and we don't see her every time. But there's a lady who has a real keen interest in Acts ministry and the types of things that Acts does with unity in Christ through the Holy Spirit, and a real keen interest in the kind of I call them gatherings instead of services that we have at First Acts Church, which is separate from Acts but very supportive of Acts ministry. And someday I'm hopeful that on a Sunday afternoon when we're having our gathering that you and Vicki will be able to come.
Yeah,
it would be
we'll
great.
do that.
And by the way, folks, when Acts Fest was held back in July and they had their annual banquet, their awards banquet, Pear and Vicki were our guests at the banquet. We were glad to have you there. Hope you had a good time.
We enjoyed it a lot. We learned a lot, of course, from listening to everybody. I met some very nice people, and so we would appreciate you invited us, and because we learn from every day, and that was something I didn't know exactly what you guys were doing. You told me a lot about the Acts before, but they would learn even more, which was great, and see the people that are involved in the community, good things that people are doing with different, through the businesses, and to help out with Acts and everything else. So that was great.
And Acts works across denominational lines and across doctrinal differences. We are truly committed to unity in Christ through the Holy Spirit. What was your church connection in Sweden? Did you have one?
Oh, in Sweden, there was, when I was there, the Lutheran Church was a state church.
Okay.
But I cannot remember what year it was, but now they separated church and state. So, but I grew up Lutheran. I went through the confirmation and everything. And the Swedes are not too famous for going to church every Sunday. It's been, I was reading an article not long ago that they go for the major holidays and things, and they have some issues with the state churches that, they don't have enough people helping. But we have a church tax in Sweden, so they pay for the upkeep and things like that. Now, after, the church and state separated, it used to be that you have to ask to not be a member of the Lutheran Church for the state church, but now they have, like here in the United States, all the churches are independent and they have to raise their money and accept this. The state takes care still take care of some of the buildings, the churches that I had before, but I grew up Lutheran.
Okay, our European friends will understand all this. For our friends here in this country, the idea of a state-sponsored church is a foreign idea,
Right.
obviously. To pick a word there, foreign, yeah. But anyway, I do recall when I was a pastor in St. Joseph, Missouri, many years ago, that there were 3 blocks, basically, of types of churches. There were, it being a river town, there were lots of Catholics. St. Joseph, Saint, obviously, there were lots of Catholics. There were also about as many Lutherans, but the Lutherans were not all of one synod or one type of Lutheran, and then everybody else was either Baptist, Methodist, or something, But lots of Lutherans in St. Joe, Missouri, and I had stuck in my head someplace the idea of a Swedish Lutheran church. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of that too, and I was kind of confused here too. And we started looking into the Lutheran churches too. There was so many different ones,
Right.
and I think ECLA is the closest one to the Swedish or to the Scandinavian churches.
Okay.
And here in Springfield at Messiah Lutheran Church, there's a lot of Scandinavians that are Scandinavian descent people that go in there too. So, but then you have some other, organization, I don't know them by heart, but
Right.
Missouri Synod, and they have Wisconsin Synod and
Right.
things like that. So, to be honest with you, that was kind of confusing for me when I came over here. There were so many different churches, and you can have so many different. Within one denomination, there were so many different types of churches within the denomination, like I said. So, but in Sweden, there was only one. I mean, there was one, and they have the same doctrine. They have the same every Sunday. They know what to preach on, and it was the whole thing was exactly the same. So
Very organized.
very organized, yeah, and it's very traditional, and of course the churches are so old over there too. We visited one time when Vicky came over the first time. I think they would start building in the year 1000. There's one church, and then they of course have added on, and then you walk in there, kind of like the bishops was buried in the church on the floor, so you kind of don't make fun of it, but walking on them, so to say,
Right, right,
And
sure.
so I mean the tradition was there so far back with the Lutherans, and so we had no real choice. I mean that's the way it was, but I did go through all the confirmations with the Lutheran Church. And,
Well, I think tradition is a wonderful and beautiful thing. A lot of people want to reject it, but it's our connection to the past.
correct.
Just this morning, I looked back through a partial family tree for my family on my dad's side of the family, because tomorrow, if my dad was alive, tomorrow would be his birthday, and he would be 120. And so this morning I was looking through that old family tree, and we go back to, in this particular branch, to 1614 in Scotland. And without a sense of tradition, it's difficult to really know who you are. And I think about all of those people who were my forebears. They, each one, contribute a little something to the person I am today. So I appreciate tradition, and Europe is a lot better about tradition than the people in the United States, I think. The president of Acts Ministry, Jim Whining, and his wife, they have a couple of boys in Germany that lived with them so long they claim them as sons. Those boys, they pay attention to Acts Media Group, and Jim and Pam, they go to Germany once in a while, and they go to
Switzerland.
Switzerland and to Netherlands,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. They
France.
of course, before many years ago, Jim Whining, Dr. Whining, lived in various parts of Europe with his work and so forth. So they have a respect for Europe. I want to get back to your office now again. You have a son who's working with you in the office,
Yeah,
right?
Nicholas is my oldest son. He works with personal lines and doing well. He has been with me for about 2 years now, and but his goal is to become a doctor of physical therapy. So I might lose him here later on, but he's doing a very good job. But he's always been interested in the medical fields, and that's his passion. And so he's doing well with us. But that's what his goals and dreams are. So he works with our office, and then my brother-in-law works in the office. This is all a family business.
Is that Mark?
That's Mike.
Mike.
Yeah, it's all a family business. So
Is that Mike that answers the phone?
yes, that is.
I don't know why you would think I could remember that, but I'm always confusing him with Mark for some reason.
Yeah.
Mike, I want to remember that.
But when we started this, it was just me and Vicky, and then of course we started business. Actually, it'd be December 1st will be 6 years since we started the business, and I was with other agency for 27 years. So, which was a big step to take out and do that. But like I said here, the December 1st, it will be 6 years since we started our Brink Insurance Group. But when me and Vicky started this, that was all us, and we were working long hours and everything else. And then we added on, family members to this, and so it's kind of nice to be able to do that to help out with
Well, I think that makes Nancy, you and me some of his first clients.
Yeah, that's one of the first clients. Yeah.
How about that?
Oh.
We're
We've been so blessed.
yeah.
We really have.
We've been
Wow.
we are pioneers with the Brink Insurance
Oh, yeah.
Agency.
They're awesome, you guys. They're awesome. Whoa.
Where we do our banking, we were pioneers with them.
Oh, that's right.
Over 40 years ago, that bank started. We were we were right there.
Yeah.
So we go back a ways. I wanted to get into this topic of church a little bit more now that you are in this country
Mhm.
and have been now close to 40 years, right? Coming up.
Yeah, 30. Yeah, close to 40. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, including my college years. Yes.
Yeah, I'm counting those. You and Vicky and Mike, I think, are part of the All Saints Anglican Church, right?
No, actually, we kind of switched a little bit here because Vicky's mom, or her dad, passed away about 3 years ago. So we started going to church at the Methodist Church with her to support her here recently too. But we were members, or we are still members of All Saints. But we've been going to Wesley United Methodist Church here to be with her and support her
Sure.
lately. So and Mike, he is going to another Methodist church here in town as well.
Now, All Saints is in Galloway.
Correct.
It's part of Springfield. It's you have to kind of know where it is to find it, but it's a magnificent building, a tremendous structure.
I know, that's right. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it
Oh.
really is. It's it looks like a church building. Many churches don't anymore. Now, on the other hand, Wesley United Methodist Church out in West Republic here in Springburg, USA, it was a transplant from downtown, an old church downtown, and I knew the minister, the pastor there, who was there many years, who really grew that church. Harry Fukel was his name, and I came to Springfield in August of '77, and I kept hearing about this Harry Fukel at Wesley Church, and I finally asked somebody, I said, what is a Fukel anyway? Well, I met Harry. He was a great guy, and he really grew that church, but it has continued to grow under a variety of leaders now. And they have like 4 Sunday morning services or something. I think.
Yeah, 3, and then a gym service too.
Yeah.
And so it's quite a vibrant church too, and they've gone through some pastors as well. But Michael McIntyre does a really wonderful job over there, and he's very traditional about his things and bringing back some of the traditions that might have been
That's what
lost
I
in the past,
understood.
have been lost in the past, which we appreciate that. And
Sure.
so, but it's been good for us. So
Well, it's good for your family has been kind of centered. It's interesting that you allow the church environment to be centered around your family rather than the other way around. A lot of people, it's like they put the church up there first in their local organization, whatever they may call it, and then family members kind of fall in around it. But in your case, your mother-in-law is in someplace, now the family's clustered around her. That's a great concept.
Yeah, we felt it was important.
Yeah.
Since she was by herself now, my father-in-law has been passed away about 3 years ago here in December. So we made a decision that we needed to do that for the family, and so we can get together at least one day of the week to see
Sure.
each other. And then also maybe, as our family grows, that our children and their children can maybe join us there as well. So
Now, speaking about growing families, received word this morning that Per and Vicky are expecting. They're expecting a grandchild.
right, that's that's the way we put it. Let's do the correct here.
And they don't know whether they are looking for a grandson or a granddaughter because their son and daughter-in-law have decided they're not going to find out until the child is born. I
Right.
think that's a wonderful tradition too.
It is. It's a wonderful tradition, and we were excited about that too. And we all excited the first grandchild, and so it's gonna be fun. I mean, the family's growing, and I have a small family here because my mom lives in Sweden, and my brother and his family lives in Sweden. So we're growing the family here, and. It was kind of funny when I told my mother. She goes, "Oh, finally, I'm going to become a great grandmother," because all my friends around me always talk about their great grandkids. So she was all excited as well. So,
Sure.
But we're excited for Nicholas and Kelsey and for the family as getting a new grandchild, and we hope everything will go well and everything be healthy. So,
Well, we believe it will.
It
We
will
believe
be,
everything's
too.
going to go really good for you, really good. I want to take another little time out here and say a word on behalf of Acts Ministry and Acts Media Group. We the 27th and 28th of October, we had the telethon, and it was to raise funds to increase the effectiveness of our outreach because we operate with a very simple equipment, and our website needs to be upgraded. There's a number of things that need to happen in order for Acts Ministry, through its department, Acts Media Group, to be as effective as possible in reaching the entire world, which, of course, with an internet ministry, you can reach the whole world, and that's what we're doing. That's why we have people in Germany and Pakistan and France and so forth watching us on a daily basis. But this ministry is doing a superior job of serving where needed by serving the people who have autism in their families, serving veterans, serving the handicapped, serving through other ministries, people that are coming out of incarceration, serving every needy area that I can think of in society. And but they're doing it not only serving where needed, but by doing the right thing. For instance, we had a fundraiser for a man who had been on a dialysis because of his no kidney function for 11 years. It's unheard of almost that anybody would survive 11 years on dialysis. Well, Acts Ministry had a fundraiser and raised the amount of money, that's helpful because there's a spin down involved to get a transplant. He got the transplant, and I think it's like monthly. There's money that's sent by Acts Ministry to whoever that is involved with his spin down, because he has this kidney that came from a deceased person now, and he's still not totally beyond a lot of need, because he named that kidney George, and every once in a while George just doesn't want to shape up and function properly, but he's been a great example of a recipient of Acts Ministry, serving where needed, doing the right thing. And we are convinced that we can leverage that to make the world more aware of kidney problems. Per, I have said in times past that kidneys have never been a glamour disease. Back many years ago here in Springfield, I was the chairman of the Kidney Foundation. We don't even have an organization here in southwest Missouri now. The nearest one is St. Louis. And I think it's the only one in the state of Missouri. And yet we don't have fewer kidney problems. We have more kidney problems and more people on dialysis, which means 3 days a week you don't do anything, and the other days you're recovering, basically. I mean, I can't imagine this guy, Randall Phillips, how he went through this for 11 years. But Acts Ministry, this is just a scratch on the tip of the iceberg, folks, that we helped one man with his spin down and to get that donated kidney. We intend to bring awareness of kidney problems to the nation again so that it will begin to generate some support. So your support for Acts Ministry, go online and you can, Acts Media Group, you can go online there and that's axmediagroup.com, press a button and donate, and you can even specify what it is you want to donate for, and it will be appreciated. But remember, the telethon was held to raise some money so that we could expand our technical abilities and some other matters. And we're not there yet, but so it's not too late to be a contributor to the telethon. All right, we come back to our guest here. Nancy, you and I have had experience of being in a lot of different churches over the years, different kinds of churches, and we've had a lot of experience with insurance agents.
Yeah.
This is the first time when we've had an opportunity to talk to someone we've had experience with as an insurance agent, and they could talk church with, who grew up in another country. And I went online this morning and I looked up Sweden. I wanted to know more about Sweden.
In Sweden, are they big furniture makers?
Have you heard about IKEA? No.
Yeah. No, the reason why is when I was young, probably, I guess I went overseas when I was 7 or 8 years old, stayed over there 9 years. So I was like 16 when I had to come back to this country. But I would see that people would get lots of furniture. They would buy furniture. And a lot of it I thought was from Sweden.
They have. They do have a lot. You know, we've got a lot of lumber. I mean, it's Sweden is Stockholm, north of Stockholm. There's some cities, but we've got further up north. That's north of the polar circle. And that's what you have a lot of slow-growing trees, which you need for hard trees to build.
Yeah.
They do a lot of furniture and things like that. But I kind of like here it says IKEA, but I say IKEA. I mean, they sell all over the world. I mean, it's not the greatest furniture, but it's good furniture for starter furniture. I had several of them and everything else. So yeah, go back to your questions. Yeah, they do a lot of woodworking and things like that. And with the country, when I grew up, there was like 8 million people in Sweden, and you have to use the resources. The paper industries was good. The lumber industry, Volvo cars, Volvo trucks, Saab. Unfortunately, Saab is no longer, but they have Saab Aerospace and they Saab Technology, so they still there. Saab is a company that's still functional over there, but they do airplanes. They do airplanes for the military, fighter planes and things like that. People don't know that, realize. You can see the advertising about the Saabs a few years ago. There was a Saab Viggen flew over a Saab. But anyway, they do. I mean, Sweden it's a smaller country, and they use the resources as well, and they have the iron ores and everything, and they have the, everything is on a smaller scale, of course, with that kind of, they don't have the resources what you have. And then the southern part of Sweden is all farmland. I mean, it's because it's just flat, okay? So the more further north you got, the more, mountainous area you have. We don't have the mountains like you have in the Bavarian Alps and things like that, but it's up there. Then you have the nomads, the Laplanders, the reindeer herders, and that's part of the Swedish. They have reindeers for food. I mean, not just for Rudolph, for Christmas. And I mean, it sounds kind of cruel sometimes, but so it's they go back to your question. Yeah, they make furnitures and anything they could use the resources for.
I always thought that was the most gorgeous looking furniture I'd ever seen. I was so impressed by, oh wow, you can buy, and I guess people would buy everything from everywhere. I thought it was awesome that people went to Japan to buy things, and Germany, oh, that rings to mind. My dad, you may have heard this, a Telefunken.
That's German.
Yes, that's the most gorgeous piece of equipment. Had an old-fashioned record player in it. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
Telefunken?
And
Yeah.
no, that's true.
It's a German brand that was.
Yes,
It's turntables and radios.
yes,
And,
exactly.
Are you listening, Dr. Whining?
Yeah,
And yeah, it's a. But it's Denmark and Norway and Sweden. They all make furniture. They all make things.
it
And
was beautiful.
yeah.
I want to point out, folks, that since Nancy spent some of her most formative years in Saudi Arabia, the vacations that they took were, over in Europe and the Middle East and whatever, they would come back to the States, once a year, once every other year?
2 years.
Every 2 years, to Texas. Now, she is a Texan. She was born in Texas. And so everything in Texas isn't big. She's barely 5 feet tall and 101 pounds. But they'd come back to Texas, to Corsicana mainly,
Yes.
to that area,
Yeah.
and stock up on stuff they needed and to go back, She has some real good stories to tell about that. But they did their vacationing over there, and here I'm sitting. I'm a guy who's never been outside the continental United States, and I haven't even been in every state. I haven't been much of any place, but I'm with Nancy, who vacationed all over Europe, and I'm with Per. I'm sure you all took vacations outside of Sweden, didn't you?
We did, and also, when you grow up in Sweden and involved in athletics, you don't just compete in Sweden. We used to go to Germany, France, Italy, Russia. I went to Czech Republic before the wall came down, East Germany back then. We used to travel all over Europe to swim, because it was like going to another state. I mean, it's kind of
Right.
And you met people, and I think I've been blessed by that too. I met people from all over the world, and seen the good things and the bad things and certain things. But we traveled quite a bit, and especially the Scandinavian countries. My family, we traveled to Norway a lot because they have beautiful resorts and things. And Denmark we traveled quite a bit too, and Germany. Those were the main 3 countries we traveled to.
Well, when Nancy and I married, I had the privilege then of showing her my world that she had not seen. I was able to show her north central Missouri and north Missouri, the Ozarks, Kansas City, the Country Club Plaza, when they put the Christmas lights on, which they'll be turning them on very shortly there on the Country Club Plaza, which is a major deal in Kansas City. So the places I haven't been, I can visit through the words of my wife, my friends, television. In fact, you mentioned those hardwood trees. It makes sense that trees grown in northern cold climates would be slower growing, to be hardwood. I saw a television program, a lady in Alaska, and she was searching for driftwood that she was going to use for firewood, and she got up on shore, and there were logs there, and she took a thing and gouged out a piece and smelled it, and she said, "That's cottonwood, and that burns too fast." And she kept trying, and all of the logs that had washed up in that particular part of the shoreline, they were all cottonwood. She could tell that by smelling these old dead tree logs. That just amazed me. Just the skills that people have and that they develop over the years. But hardwood, that really rings a bell with me, because there is a difference between soft lumber and genuine hardwood.
That's
for
correct.
sure. We talk about hardwood floors, you know. All right, we're down to about 4 minutes, Matt, something like that. In these 4 minutes, I want to make sure I get a word in here about next week. We will have a young pastor. Young to me because he's middle-aged. But he's a
Does that make
seasoned.
you old age?
That makes me old age, yeah. And he is a seasoned pastor of a very vibrant, independent congregation here in Springburg, USA. And you will enjoy getting his perspective on not just this community, but the world, because they do have insight about people of their particular doctrinal persuasion that are found all over the world, but very, very numerous in Africa. Lots of Africans are part of the same belief structure as this young man. His name is Benjamin Davis, fondly known as Ben Davis, and he'll be with us on this broadcast next Friday. Yes,
To butt in,
go ahead.
Pear, tell everybody your phone number so they can get a hold of you, because I hope that you're inundated with business.
Oh, thank you very much. It's 417 823 7002.
Wow, 8, 2, 3, 7.
All right.
Got it up on the screen.
It's on the screen, and we want you to be sure if you have insurance needs, or if
That's
you
right.
think you don't have insurance needs and you need a consultation,
That's right.
talk to Pear. You will be greeted as you enter the office by his brother-in-law, Mike. If you are particularly blessed, you'll meet his wife, Vicki, and of course, you may get a chance to meet his son. Go ahead, Matthew.
Well, I took something up to him to drop off one day, and he was on the phone, and he saw me come in and drop it off, and I went out to the car, and he ran outside and met me outside.
See there?
To greet me, so
All right, that's
good stuff.
hometown greeting by a guy who knows what it's like to grow up in Sweden, swim competitively at Drury University in Springburg, USA, and now an expectant grandfather. And we're going to be following his family's career very closely. We want to have you back on the show one of these days, all right?
I'd love to. It was fun, and I enjoyed it. Thanks for inviting me, by the
Well,
way. and
maybe next time you could
yeah.
bring Vicki.
I will sure do that. She can. That'd be great, and I do appreciate you too here and what you're doing for the community and the Acts Ministry too. I think it's a great organization. Like I said at the awards banquet, we learned a lot about this and that we didn't know about, and we met some interesting people. So we've been blessed to meet you guys too, and me and
Thank
Vicki
you.
talks about that too. That we need leaders like yourself to help us out.
It's all about positive connections. Okay,
that's right.
do I have time for my slow close?
Go ahead.
Here is my famous slow close. This has been the Happy Hour, the friendliest show on radio, the best look on Facebook.
That's right.
It is the YouTube for every rube, and it is for every person who wants to glitter, they'll watch us on Twitter. In the meantime, this is old Dr. Paul with our special guest, Pear Brink, and my co-host, Nancy, bidding you a wonderful and fond farewell until next Friday, same time, same place. See you then. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.